I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor. This week, a Federal Reserve official has rejected the digital dollar. Let's be honest, the US Central Bank does not have too many independent thinkers in its employ. For the most part, everyone agrees on the major issues. Sure, there might be some disagreement between raising interest rates by 25 basis points or by 50 basis points. But when it comes to something like micromanaging the money supply or keeping the century-old institution intact, there is no independent thought. Why do you think so many people in the Fed were adamantly opposed to Judy Shelton coming on board? But there was a bit of a bright spot in the halls of the Eccles Building. Speaking at an event by Georgetown University, Fed Governor Michelle Bowman expressed doubts for the necessity of creating a CBDC, warning that the risks could outweigh the benefits. Bowman stated that there could be several potential risks of a CBDC, including threats to consumer privacy and vulnerability to conventional banking like deposit drawdowns. She said in her speech, quote, "It is difficult to imagine a world where the trade-offs between benefits and unintended consequences could justify a direct access CBDC for uses beyond interbank and wholesale transactions." As she mentioned in her speech, the Fed official did concede that there could be something positive about a wholesale CBDC to settle interbank transfers and process international payments, which can be a slow, tedious, and resourceful process. That said, Bowman's comments are a breath of fresh air, especially for a subject that has mostly received a uniform opinion. Create a digital dollar now. More than 100 countries are at least in the research phase of a CBDC. However, despite the mad rush to install the digitized version of the official currency of the nation, populations have so far been apprehensive. Data and central bank reports suggest that the Chinese and Nigerian consumers have not been as responsive that officials had initially anticipated, forcing these entities to employ new methods and incentivize the public to use digital currency. And indeed, resistance is futile at the stage since it is almost an inevitability. But, of course, some optimistic crowds will allude to the growing opposition, at least in the United States, especially on the right. A Florida bill spearheaded by Governor Ron DeSantis is banning CBDCs. House Republicans recently proposed legislation that targeted a digital dollar over concerns of President Biden creating, quote, an authoritarian style and surveillance style CBDC. Potential presidential hopefuls have also weighed in and provided their endorsements of anti-CBDC efforts. The reality of the situation is that governments and central banks are so worried that they're falling behind China, which has really led the global economy in digitization efforts, be it authoritarianism or CBDC. Countries do not want to fall further behind, so they will accelerate the implementation of a CBDC. The problem is that they will first claim that this will be complementary to the physical fiat monetary system, but as time goes on, CBDCs will become more prevalent and then used and abused by the state if you commit the cardinal sin of disobeying the government. CBDCs are a terrifying prospect. If you think you reside in a prison planet now, the CBDC will be the world's currency. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column on the pages of LibertyNation.com, where I discuss a new Biden rule in housing that penalizes home buyers, Bangladesh ditching the dollar, and commercial bank deposits. Thank you.
Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5, produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone, hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner, joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors, deconstructing leftist narratives, debating the hot topics, and remembering to laugh. Join the official conservative safe
You only
space.
did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.
I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.